Hello! I'm working on this modular gaming table video. I just want to confirm that we're on the same page here, that I'm gonna do like a review, and that includes saying the things that I don't like about it.
Yes, I wouldn't want you reviewing the table unless it was a completely candid and honest review.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure that I wouldn't like say my complaints about the table and then you would not be my friend anymore.
No, that is definitely fine. In fact, it would probably be the opposite. You lied to your viewers. That would bring our friendship.
Then friendship over. About a year ago, I got this fancy gaming table from Wyrmwood. They gave it to me for free, not because we're friends. I mean, we are, but because marketing. But if I pledged for it on Kickstarter, I would have paid $4,675, not including all the accessories and this sweet custom plaque they made for it. To be clear, not every table is that expensive. This is just a fancy one. They start at $700. I have been eating and gaming on this table for over a year now, so I've had time to form some opinions, both good and bad. Wyrmwood sponsored this video because they have just launched their second modular gaming table Kickstarter, so if you missed the first one, you have another shot to pledge. But these tables can get expensive, so I want to share my honest opinions about whether or not they're worth the price tag. Hopefully it'll help you make your own table decisions, or at least let you live vicariously through someone with a fancy gaming table, because I'll be honest, that's what I would be watching for. Bobby told me to be honest, and maybe he'll regret that, who knows, because this table is not perfect, but there is also a lot about it that I love. So let's get into it. I'm gonna categorize my feelings about the table into hits and misses, and then at the end, we'll tally them all up and see where we land. I have a pretty small house, so I wouldn't have room for a table that is completely dedicated just to gaming, but this gets to be my dining table most of the time, and then my gaming table when I need it to be. On most game nights, we actually use it for both things. We eat on the table first, and then we take the toppers off and use it for gaming. And if we break for food, we can just put the toppers back on and leave the map and the terrain and everything set up, and then eat and then take the toppers off, and we're right back to it. This is also the only reason I can do puzzles again, while also owning cats. The obvious main benefit is being able to switch from dining to gaming and back. This is, obviously, since it's the whole point of the table, a hit. This is just a little thing, but the topper panels are pretty heavy. So I can take the top off and then put it back on by myself, and strength is definitely my dump stat, but they are pretty freaking heavy. Also, I saw that Devin Rue dropped one of her table toppers on her foot last year, so now I get nervous about that every single time. For me, this is at worst an inconvenience, but if you have limitations with lifting, that's something to be aware of. Like, my grandmother could not lift those. To be fair, I did mention this to Bobby, and he said that Wenge is one of the heaviest and densest woods that they even make this table in. So if you want a lighter weight table that's like easier to transition between, Bobby said you should look at cherry, maple, or espresso. This is a small miss, not a huge deal to me, but could be a big miss for somebody else. We'll call it a half miss. One thing to know about the MGT is that you have to assemble it yourself, IKEA style. I would say it took maybe an hour or so to build the table. It arrives in a bunch of different boxes. You maybe could build it alone, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think having at least 2 people would be really helpful. Also, I never do this with IKEA furniture, even though they explicitly tell you to, but like seriously, put down a blanket or something while you set it up, or you will scratch the finish, like we did. Cheapskates like me are already used to this with furniture, and it's part of what makes the table more affordable than Wyrmwood's Prophecy, which has white glove assembly included. But for people who find that inconvenient or difficult to do, that could be a small miss. Although, if you ever move house, being able to disassemble it would be a hit, to be fair, so this one might just balance itself out. However, unlike IKEA furniture, this table is very sturdy. This thing is 100% solid. It might be put together IKEA style, but it is not IKEA quality. There's no cheap particle board or laminate here. As you would expect from a woodworking company, it is just a big ol' hunk of wood. I expect to have this table for a minimum of a decade. This is not disposable furniture. That is a definite hit. Speaking of assembly, the finish does scratch pretty easily. This is probably a thing that happens with any nice wooden furniture, like like real wooden furniture. I've only owned cheap fake shit, so it's new to me, but I do feel like it gets scratched up pretty easily. I've had this table for just a little over a year, and there's already a fair amount of scratches and dings that are visible when you look for them. To be honest, it doesn't really bother me because I don't expect everything in my house to be flawless forever, especially the stuff that I use every day. But if scratching your expensive gaming table will upset you, you're just gonna have to be extra careful. I also suspect that scratches just show more on a dark table like this, so maybe if you get a lighter finish, it'll be less noticeable.
And over. Look at that.
Oh no.
We f***ed up a little bit yesterday making this table. It's important to put blankets down.
I would call that a miss. One thing about this table is that it's freaking gorgeous. Just a genuinely beautiful piece of furniture. It is not immediately obvious that this is a gaming table. It just looks like a really nice dining room table. Without a doubt, easily the nicest piece of furniture that we own. When people walk into our house, this is one of the first things they see, and people always comment on it. It is just like a nice table. That is obviously a hit. Okay, now we gotta talk accessories. There's one called the topper block that you use to hold the dining surface panels when they're not in use. To be honest, I can't really imagine having the table without the topper block. I low-key kind of think they should come with all the tables. My only criticism of the topper block was that when it's not in use, it looks sort of like weird and arcane because it's just a box of foam that sits around in your house. But they actually did create a lid for the topper block that's available with the new tables, so I guess I just need to order one of those. If you get a table, you should definitely order this piece. It is a hit. I have some other favorite accessories too. First thing to know about accessories is that there is a magnetic rail both inside and outside the table that you can affix most of these accessories to, like so. There's this sort of platform that sits inside the table. It's movable. I think in the original Kickstarter it was called a game deck. This is 100% essential for me. This is where I set up my Game Master screen and all of my GM stuff when I'm running a game. Plus, it has its own magnetic rail. They don't actually offer the game deck anymore. They now offer something called a hobby vault, which is better, but we'll get to that in a minute. Cup holders. They are so easy to move around. You never have to worry about drinks getting spilled on the felt. These are actually very cool. They are contact chargers, so you just turn them on, and then you can charge your device. I don't know about you guys, but when someone comes to my house and is like, do you have a Samsung charger? I'm like, here's the box of cords, just fish around. There are also ports on the sides, so if you do want to use a charging cable for whatever reason, maybe your phone can't do contact charging, or maybe you want to charge a tablet, it can be used for that too. The only real flaw with these is that the on-off button is a button, not a switch, so you can't ever know if it's on or off, but they hold a charge for a really long time. Like, I think I last charged these over a month ago and they are working now. I like and recommend all these accessories. They are all hits. If I leave a game or a puzzle set up on the interior of the gaming table, I have nowhere to put all of the accessories. Right now they live in this bin that sits on a nearby bookshelf. This is actually why I said we'd come back to the hobby vault though. They've solved this problem for future table owners. Instead of this game deck platform that I have, the hobby vault actually has a lid that slides back, allowing you to access the interior space where you can put stuff. Unfortunately, with my table, there is just nowhere to store accessories. This one was a miss for me, but it's gonna be a hit for anybody ordering a table now since this problem has been solved. So, is it worth it? My tally says that we've got 6 hits, 1 in the middle, and like 1.5 misses. Out of the handful of issues that I do have with my table, most of them have been fixed in the newer version. Obviously, everyone has a different budget for furniture, and this is a luxury item for sure, but the cheapest tables start at $700, and honestly, there are way less cool dining tables available on IKEA and Wayfair that cost more than that. And they have monthly payment options available if you can't drop the whole amount up front. In my opinion, if you have the money to invest in a nice piece of furniture and you game a lot at your house, then yes, I do think this table's worth it. Especially considering that ideally you keep furniture for a long time. Even without the gaming features, this would be the nicest piece of furniture that I own, and since I am a gamer, it is unparalleled. Most of my gaming experiences at other people's houses are clustered around a coffee table, or struggling to squeeze everything onto a small table, or even playing on the floor. And like, that's fine, we do what we gotta do, and the game itself is more important than the setting. But but as far as settings go, this is a pretty swanky tabletop experience. If you want a table of your own, the MGT Kickstarter is live right now at the link in the description. You have to pledge $299 to reserve your spot, but that doesn't get charged until the end of the Kickstarter, and you don't have to make any decisions about your table yet. You can take your time figuring out your budget, the size, the wood, the accessories, and all that stuff later.
We cover some accessories that weren't even in that video. We go into detail about certain things about accessories that we didn't cover in the initial video. So if there is an uncut version where you may find some information that is useful to you.
Okay. Do you hear this fucking cat?
I do, yeah.
Every time I turn on a microphone, he's like, "This is my time to be heard."